Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Ordinary Extraordinary. I'm your host, Karen O'Sullivan, and today I have a very special guest with me. I've Chantelle Wallace, who is the founder of Gearóidin Psychotherapy based in Cork in Ireland. She's a qualified psychotherapist since 2025. Chantelle is all about creating a warm, safe space where people can actually be themselves. She works with adults on everything from anxiety and depression to stress, relationships, and the LGBTQ plus society as well and mental health. Chantel has a particular passion for exploring how we show up in our relationships and what our early experiences can say about who we are today. Her whole approach is tailored to the individual because she knows that no two people or journeys are the same. So, Chantel, you're very welcome to this week's
Thanks,
episode.
Karen. Thanks for having me.
That's great. And yeah, I suppose to kick off, really, for people who don't know you, is there anything else you'd like to add about yourself or
Yeah, so I suppose I, al- I first of all, I'm from Waterford, so I'm not a Cork person. So I always like to get that out of the way first
have
as
to
a
get that in
disclaimer.
there, did you? And I'm wearing colours.
Don't hold that. Yeah, you are. Don't hold that against me. Um, and yeah, I suppose I'm 38. So, and as we were saying, newly qualified psychotherapist since last year. So I suppose the message is it's never too late to follow your dreams, is what I always say to people.
Love that.
I decided in my early 30s to absolutely change my career, like my background, like my day job is a lot to do with compliance and finance. So I
Okay.
always say I'm a little bit like Jekyll and Hyde. So during the day, it's very risk focused and so on. And then in the evening, it's about the feelings. Um,
Love
but
it.
I suppose the big news in my world is I'm about to go full time with the psychotherapy and hopefully kind of come September time. So I'm navigating the transition out of my corporate day job into doing therapy full time, which is really exciting. And after being in business for a year, it's amazing to be making the transition. So I'm really excited about that.
That is absolutely amazing. And yeah, the happy first anniversary for the business because
Thank
that's
you.
huge for you too. So massive well done on that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sent off my accounts to my end of year accounts to my accountant. I was like, I've never felt more grown up in my life. Like first of all, I have an accountant, and second of all, I have a year worth of accounts filled in. Go me.
Woo, that's an
Yeah.
absolute win as well. And you're an inspiration already. So I'm loving this energy and everything. And I suppose, yeah, you know, the way you said you've completely, and that takes absolute strength, courage, and I suppose tuning into yourself, isn't it? But like to do a
hmm
complete, nearly a 360 on, one career into the other as well, which is really, really
hmm
impressive. But like what actually led you to the psychotherapy?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting story. So I suppose if I start back in childhood, so I would have grown up around my mom who had had really poor mental health all my life,
Yeah.
and she died by suicide when I was 15. So I suppose was always aware that mental health was a thing that people could like
Yeah.
struggle with. And so I really had a sense that I wanted to be a helper in some shape or form.
Mm.
And I think when I was going through Leaving Cert and so on, I was kind of deterred from going down the psychology or social work or social care route by my family, kind of saying that's very difficult. Like
Mm.
choose something that's kind of handy, like oh,
Yeah.
be a teacher or be a civil servant or something
It's
like
a safe
that.
job, isn't it? That's the thing,
Yeah, the
isn't
safe job. So
it?
I did what I was told, like, a good Irish girl. Um,
Yeah.
and I kind of ended up working. I went to college, did an arts degree, came out of college in the height of the recession where there was no jobs for anyone. So spent the first couple of years of my working life I spent in Finn's Corner. So anyone from Cork will remember Finn's Corner, the sports
Yeah.
shop.
Very cool place,
And
actually.
yeah, and I actually worked in the uniform section selling the school uniforms and like all the nurses' uniforms and scrubs and stuff like that. So I have so many fond memories of dressing little kids that are definitely teenagers now and probably doing their
Oh,
leaving cert by this stage, but putting them in their little junior infants tracksuits and stuff like that.
oh. That's cool.
But great memories, really cute. Like I loved it. I still say it was one of the best jobs I ever had because I've always loved meeting people and connecting with
Yeah.
people. So any kind of retail job I ever had, I always loved because I'm a yapper. So I was delighted. But yeah, always had a passion for mental health, and I suppose had my own mental health struggles in my 20s.
Right. Sorry, yeah.
Found the benefit of therapy, kind of working through my own stuff in terms of grief for my mom and different things. And then I think I was starting to get fed up with my kind of corporate job. And I was like, what am I going to do? And then I decided to kind of go down this kind of life coaching route first.
Amazing, yeah.
And there was an exercise that we did, and I kind of tell everyone this story because A, I can't believe I actually did what I did. But B, it's kind of like a really powerful question to ask yourself. So we'd gone
Amazing.
in to the training one day, and the teacher had all these kind of like, the kind of big flip chart pieces of paper. She had them all up on a wall, and the question was, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
That's a very good question. I'm
Yeah.
getting myself thinking even. I'm like, what would you
Yeah.
be afraid? Okay.
So she kind of said, you don't have to say it out loud, but in your own time during the day, I want you to go up to the wall and write it down. And you don't have to say whose it is or whatever, but this is just something for you to reflect on and for you to write. And I wrote down two things. Um, One was that I would start sea swimming, so something close to both our hearts.
Oh my God,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
and the second was that I would become a counselor.
Okay, amazing.
And within a week, I had applied for my first course that I did in CIT and had found the Rise and Swim Instagram, which for
Yeah.
those of anyone who's listening might remember was an Instagram for people who were who wanted to try sea swimming, but maybe didn't have like the confidence or didn't have people to go with. And so a bunch of very lovely lunatics started going swimming in Fountains Down at like, 7 in the morning on a Friday. And that's how Karen and I met
Yes.
for the first time.
Yeah. Come back 6 years ago
Um,
easily, isn't it? My God.
yeah, a long time ago. And I think like that simple question changed my life in so many ways.
Love that question. It's really resonating even with me, and I'm sure like loads of listeners and people viewing in and all that. What would you do if you were not afraid? I'm like, wow. It's like there's no limits really, is there? Like when you think
No,
about it.
and everyone knows the answer. This is the thing is like sometimes people are like, I don't know. And I'm like, but you do know, but you're afraid to say it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually deep, isn't it? Because you put up like, isn't it, kind of things of, oh, how am I going to afford it? How am I going to do this when I'm in such a position? How do, what if this? And isn't it so true? Then we put up these, I suppose, barriers, isn't it? Instead of
Hmm.
worrying about the how, but maybe it's easier said than done. I don't know if you've any tips on that.
That's it. I think
Yeah.
it's like I remember someone gave me this phrase a long time ago, and it was like, what you prioritize, you get done when it came to time management.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So like I think I apply that to everything in life. So if there's something I need to pay for, so like my degree, obviously, like I had to pay for that from scratch. And I was like, okay, how does one do this in this economy? And it is just about saying, well, if I really want it, I'm going to figure it out. So like there wasn't a lot of foreign holidays, there wasn't like a lot of extravagance in those couple of years, and
Worth.
just trying to figure it out and make it happen, And I suppose I was very lucky that I was in a very steady, secure job, and that kind of gave me guaranteed income. And also shout out to CIT and PCI College. I trained in two different institutions
Amazing.
that both allowed payment by installment, which made it much easier rather than
Maybe
having
that's
to look for
fantastic. Yeah.
big lump sums. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I think especially for people considering going back to education, there can be lots of different financial supports available depending on your circumstances. So don't let finance be an immediate barrier. Take a look and see what help you might be entitled to. Um, it's not applicable to everyone, but for some people, absolutely it is. And then the rest of it it'll come good. You have to kind of trust the universe, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, isn't it? What's meant for us won't pass us by, and all in divine timing, so I'm told as well, which,
Absolutely. And I think when my training was a very windy road, so like kind of training in psychotherapy, it's not like just doing any degree. There's a huge amount of personal work involved in it. So it's quite funny, but it's kind of known as the divorce course.
oh dear.
So I remember the first year of the training, one of the lecturers said, oh, how many of you are married or in relationships? And, a lot of people put up their hands
Yeah.
and they were like, a lot of, and she just said, very matter of fact, about half you won't be in a relationship by the time you finish the training.
Was she right?
Because,
Out of curiosity.
oh, 100% she was right. Um,
That's mind-boggling, powerful.
because you have to do so much personal therapy yourself as
Mm,
part of the training.
okay.
And I suppose you're learning all these different theories and you're learning so much about how people operate, and you evolve yourself as a person that you may find that the person that you loved you may not be in love with them anymore, or you outgrow the relationship, or maybe you realize you're better off by yourself because you've got some stuff you want to work on, you know?
Yeah.
Luckily for me, that didn't happen. Like my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time,
Yeah.
and he has read everything I've ever written because he's a really good editor. He's really good at finding like grammar errors and typos and things. So I'm like, well, he knew fully what he was signing up for because I was bearing my soul in these essays. So he really knew what he was getting into when he agreed
Really
to
perfect.
marry me.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It was meant to be so, wasn't he? You both did the work and
Yeah,
he was
exactly. As if this didn't scare him off, nothing will.
Fair play. No, that's good. And to have the rock and like the support and everything is amazing, like as well. And for those people out there who are going, you know what, I've heard of psychotherapy. I don't quite know what it is. How does it work? How would you explain it? I know now it's a lot of study and all that, but how would you actually explain what it is basically to
So,
people?
yeah, no, it's a really good question because I think a lot of people get confused between like psychiatrists and psychologists and
Yeah.
psychotherapists
Hmm.
and all the P words that are hard to spell, but really good for a Scrabble score.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I like that actually. I haven't played Scrabble in ages, but anyway.
I love a good Scrabble game and I can get someone to play with me. So with psychotherapy, I suppose the simple way to define it is it's like two people talking to each other. And it's not necessarily about like diagnosing or labeling like a condition or particular mental illness. And it's not about prescribing medication. We don't do any of those things. But it's really about creating a safe space for a person to come and be vulnerable and to talk about what's happened to them. So like I think very often, and especially at the moment, there's a lot of buzz about like people who maybe are getting ADHD and autism assessments and things like
Yeah.
that and getting lots of labels. But sometimes like, and these things are important if you have one of these conditions, it's
Hmm.
good to know about it because it helps you understand yourself better. But sometimes like people just need to be listened to and to be heard. We all have a story. And for some of us, those stories are really tragic and very traumatic and people need to share that because they may not have like I suppose and it's not always that you wouldn't have the right support at home, but sometimes it's like talking to a stranger who has no skin in the game can be very useful because we'll offer a different perspective, you know? And it's like, everyone you know has an agenda for you. Do you know, like for some people,
Sure.
and for the most part, people have good agendas, like friends, family,
Absolutely.
whatever. But like, if you want to go traveling and your parents want you to buy a house,
Yeah.
that can cause a bit of a disconnect.
The difference is that, yeah, yeah.
And so then coming into someone who's a neutral party who's trained to listen in a very professional way and kind of offer support. Like I always say, like therapy isn't about like we're not going to give you opinions and we're not going to tell you how to solve your problems, but we will challenge you and help you explore, you know? And sometimes then, like I always say to my clients, like you might hate me sometimes because sometimes I will be a bit provocative and kind of like needle.
You did.
But sometimes that's really important sometimes. I always remember my supervisor saying once, so like most all good psychotherapists should have a supervisor, and my supervisor I think is one of the best in the business. I love him, and he has taught me so much. But he said to me very early on in our relationship, he said, you need to decide if you want to be a good therapist or if you want to be a nice therapist, because they're
Hey.
very different things.
Oh dear.
And that always sta sits in my mind as like, because you could be like, oh, poor you, that's awful. I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you might be like, and what role did you play in this situation?
That's a bit blunt, but it's true, isn't it? It's like, oh. That's
Because I
deep.
think
I
so
guess you're thinking, yeah.
absolutely, and that's kind of our job sometimes is to hold the mirror up and to be like, well,
Oh dear.
maybe you have maybe you have something going on that you need to work on also, and it's not
Yeah.
just everyone around you.
The reflection, like what are you reflecting and all that? Like what are you getting back? It's true.
Yeah, exactly, and before I put myself out of business, it's not always like that either. But sometimes that's really important is to kind of just be challenged. And I always kind of I warn my clients when we start, I say like, this is a safe place, but there are going to be times where you feel uncomfortable because you're meant to get out of your comfort zone, and this is what therapy is about as well. Um, and that's why I really put a lot of effort on the therapeutic relationship and having my clients feel safe with me first, because I'm not going to start doing things like that in the first couple of sessions. Like we have to get to know each other,
Yeah.
we have to build a bit of a bond. And I always kind of joke, a lot of my clients are in their 20s. So I like to think I'm like cool and I have all the lingo. So I always say to new clients, it has to be a vibe check. So like, are we going to get on?
Like
Do
it.
I like you? Do you like me?
Yeah.
And if we don't like each other, there's no work going to happen
Yeah.
because you have to like get on with each other. And I'm someone who brings a lot of my personality into the work. So you are going to hear a bit about my life and you're going to hear about some of my journey because I think it's really important to show a client I've walked some of these roads, similar but
Absolutely.
different. Like I've had my heart broken.
Of course.
I know what it's like to have had a row with a parent. I know what it's like to lose someone I loved.
Mhm. Absolutely. It's
And
tough.
there's a power in that Me Too thing,
Yeah.
that it's just that kind of exchange. But other therapists are very private and very guarded, and it's just different preferences and different styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
One
and
size
I
doesn't
also
fit
love
all.
exactly. And I also love a sarcastic comment. I love a bit of a joke, occasional bit of dark humor because we're Irish and we're kind of wired that way.
Typical.
But all that comes into the room, but that's not for everyone. Do you
Yeah.
know, like that could put people right off. So I'm very open with who I am.
Yeah.
And then you can make up your mind whether you think I'm a good fit or not.
So you could, like, as you say, like once you're being your true authentic self anyway, you're going to, what is it, resonate and attract the right people who, you can help and vice versa and all that. I think anyways.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. That's it. And
amazing.
it's like everything. You like the right clients will find you. Do you know what I mean? Like I've clients that have stayed with me from my student days, and I always kind of think, God,
It's
I'm
cool.
definitely doing something right. I'm doing something right that
And you're
people
making a
are staying
difference
with me
big
for
time.
years,
That's
you
huge. That is
know?
amazing. Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And like even at that, you probably have loads of different, I know now probably not today, but like, you've loads of different tools and things, I suppose, for people in general. Do you just that could help them anyway? Like with, I don't know, be it overwhelmed, be it
Definitely.
anything, like really.
Absolutely. Like I think I like to like I was like you said in my intro, I like to meet the person first and see what they're going to respond to.
Yeah.
Um, because with therapy, there's so many different theories and modalities and things you can do, but it depends on the person. So I kind of want to understand what I'm working with and who the person I'm working with is like and what their capacity is like. If there's someone who's very busy, I'm not going to be giving them loads of like we kind of call it homework, where I might
Yeah.
be
Of
giving them worksheets or journaling
course.
exercises or something like that. But I might give them a podcast, something that they can listen to while
Yeah.
they're in the car and just make it more accessible. Um, I think a lot of the stuff I do tends to work around like the past and kind of, I suppose, how, say, childhood events
Yeah.
have shaped you as an adult, because I think that's really
Okay.
important, especially for things around relationships.
Of course. Yeah.
So I might do something called a genogram, which is like a family tree, but a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, that
You
sounds
kind of
cool.
map out your family trauma. So it's
Sure.
a really fun activity, I promise. Um, but you kind of map out your family tree, so like siblings, parents, aunts and uncles, grandparents, and you just kind of understand a bit about the relationship dynamics. So like, in Ireland, quite often these can be quite complex for lots of different reasons. There might be
Absolutely. Of course.
immigration,
Yeah.
there might have been unemployment, there might have been like poverty, especially when you kind of start going back into the grandparents and so on. Um, there might be, family drama. I think most families have some sort of family drama.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, are there any black sheep in the family? Most of us have a black sheep or two in the family as well.
That is guaranteed, isn't it?
Absolutely. But this is the stuff that's like gold dust for a therapist because you start to understand what's going on in the family. And
Amazing.
then I look at my client and say I might see someone who's like 32, but I'm also looking at like, a 4 or 5 year old boy or girl
Yeah.
who maybe was really upset by something.
Huge.
And that has wired them now into adulthood. And it's like kind of going, okay, well, we're not 4 or 5 now. Now we're big.
Yeah.
How can we look after our little self and help them heal a little bit so that big you
Hmm.
isn't as interrupted by what maybe has happened?
That is powerful. And I'm just like listening away to you there. I'm taking so much in. It's brilliant. And even at that, you were saying there about how our childhood potentially shapes us going into adulthood, if you will, the inner
hmm
child and all that. Yeah. So why do you feel it's very important to, go back to the childhood stuff first? What would be the main reasoning there, would you say?
I think so. When we're kids, that's when we're babies and when we're young kids,
Yeah.
it's our first community. So be it our family is our first community.
Hmm.
And we're all pack animals. So we learn how to adapt and how to behave to be like accepted or connected in that community. And then depending on your circumstances, that can either be like a really positive thing,
Yeah.
or it can kind of be maladaptive, where maybe you've had to learn to be like a people pleaser or learn to keep your voice quiet,
Yeah.
or like maybe emotions aren't tolerated. So, like the kind of the classic things like, boys don't cry. So
Yeah.
if you're a
Deep
man
one, isn't it?
and
For
something's,
yeah.
yeah, and it's just, and it's like, you have to be a good girl, to be a nice girl.
That's true as well.
And all these messages that we absorb when we're very small totally show up into adulthood. And same like when we go into school, we're in a different kind of community. If the teachers, and I think thankfully teaching has changed quite a lot, but I definitely remember in the 90s having teachers absolutely scream at you when you're 6 or 7, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, and stand up and be told you're stupid and stuff. That happened. I won't mention who or what, but there was a few of us in particular school. If you got something wrong, and then you were nervous going up, you'd forget, and yeah, the fear
Absolutely,
factor,
yeah.
completely.
Yeah. And even like say if you take our parents, they were still the generations where you might have got a clip around the ear or like a smack of a ruler or something.
Yeah, and
And all of those things have shaped
there's a ruler.
our parents and how they parent,
Yeah,
and it just goes through the generation. So that's the stuff that's really interesting and really important.
yeah, it's really
Um, because it
okay.
just it, we start the wiring young, and then we kind of spend most of our adult life trying to rewire ourselves if there's something that's not quite
Okay.
working well.
So if there was some trauma, we'll say, to kind of go back into the childhood side, how would that actually progress? How would that show up later on, we'd say? I know it depends on what type of trauma we'd say, but
It can really depend. Like for some
yeah,
people, it might be like people pleasing is a really common one, especially in Ireland. So that
true.
we put other people's needs first. We're not comfortable saying no or asserting boundaries.
Yeah,
Take on too much, try and keep other people happy. Might put our own needs behind someone else's, do you know?
yeah,
Um, Other examples, like unfortunately, like an over-reliance on like drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism. Do you
yeah.
know?
And
Like
that
that
can
can be
add more, isn't it? Then more issues and all.
absolutely, or like complicated relationships around food is another one.
Yeah,
Um, do you know,
yeah,
lot and like it doesn't always like when we say like complex relationship with food, I'm not necessarily talking about people who have like eating disorders
yeah.
like anorexia, bulimia, and so on, but it can be like food can be a funny subject for people. So, for example, if you came from a big family where food is maybe scarce,
Yeah,
as an adult, you might find it really hard to like waste food or feel this pressure to empty your plate.
yeah,
Um, and that even that in itself can be something that's like uncomfortable because if you're making yourself eat more than you want, you're not listening to what your body wants in the here and now, but you're maybe
yeah.
listening to your mom talk about the kids in, on the troker box that are starving.
Well, yeah,
I think
it's
that's a
true,
really
actually.
common one for most of us, that
Stroke
kind of
box,
way.
critical incident stress. Forgot about those.
Yeah.
Mentioned it. Oh,
And I always think with trauma, there can be like I like the concept of like say your big T trauma, which is like, your really complex stuff. So like
hmm,
could be abuse or violence or
yeah,
something really awful that happened to you. But there's like little T trauma. So it could be like that now, a scary incident with a teacher,
hmm,
or like maybe your parents were arguing a lot at home or you didn't get on with your siblings. There can be so many different things, but sometimes people feel guilty coming for therapy when they feel like they have a small issue. It's like
yeah.
there's no such thing. It's how it's impacting your life, you know?
Because it could impact be real as well and quite deep or big as well, isn't it? And it could just, I suppose if
Absolutely.
you don't heal something, it comes up in other areas, I'm told anyway, as well, isn't it? And
It does,
yeah,
yeah, it doesn't go away, you know? It's
yeah,
like relationships, if you don't kind of work on, say if you have a breakup and you don't deal with it,
yeah.
you bring it into the next relationship, you know?
It carries over so as well, like which isn't necessarily like a great thing, as you say. But even at that, for myself, there when you were mentioning food, if I was stressed, I'd literally, I suppose, comfort eating would be the thing. I just kind of want some sort of like I know you have to have things in moderation, but before it was like grab the takeaway and stuff. But as you said, if people are going to more illicit routes and whatever, then you're dealing with both addiction as well as trauma and other and getting to the root, I suppose, really, isn't it? Instead of the leaves, kind of going, what's actually causing it, isn't it? The work.
Yeah, exactly like, and it's the question is always like not like what's wrong with you, but what's happened to you.
Hmm. Okay. I have to really kind of zone in and focus on where did it actually start from? This is
Yeah,
yeah, big
exactly.
work.
And
Deep.
it's tricky. I think people would rather a label or something, but you're like, actually, let's go back behind the curtain and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you haven't landed here in front of me by accident. There's a big story behind that.
Yeah. What's the reasoning, like as you said, and then to break away and find out. And that's really
Hmm.
good. It's deep, like, but it's to work on ourselves because as you said, like normally we're probably all go, 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 and especially like lately in society, I suppose everything is, I don't know, is it instant gratification, things are fairly in real time instead of the waiting or sitting in boredom or whatever the case is. But to actually allow ourselves the time instead of being busy. Because I mean, if we're super busy at times, is that maybe a coping mechanism as well to not do the work, possibly?
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
there's so many, and especially in the age of like, our smartphones,
Oh yeah.
this is the best way to numb any kind of pain that we all have
Yeah.
because either like scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, online shopping,
Yeah.
ordering the takeaway on Just Eat.
Yeah.
There's so much comfort that can be come out of our smartphone, and the idea of being separated from it for most of us, and myself included,
Oh yeah, big
is
time.
kind of unacceptable. I was just in Scotland on holidays with my husband, and the
Amazing, yeah.
first place we stayed didn't have any phone signal or Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's
And we were
unusual.
like, yeah, it was on the Isle of Skye, so really we were like in the wilds.
Oh, nice.
And
Good,
we were
yeah.
like, oh, that's really cool. Like, let's see how we get on. And like by the third day, we were kind of twitchy, and I was like, this is really interesting to see how we've coped
Yeah.
without it.
It's amazing, yeah.
But also, while we were kind of missing our phones, what I also noticed was how much more we had been talking to each other and just sitting and enjoying each other's company. Because, like, I think, like most couples, we
Yeah.
can often spend an evening on the couch and we're both scrolling and we're
Absolutely,
kind of
yeah.
talking to each other, but no one's really listening, you know?
And that's it. Like, so I find lately as well, I mean, it's like we're so connected to people globally, which is great. I mean, there's, pros and cons to everything, don't get me wrong. But then are we disconnected from literally from source and what's like right in front of us? You know,
Absolutely. And I think
True.
everyone can do it. Like, I had friends down this weekend and we were joking. So we hadn't se these are my two best friends from like childhood,
Yeah, amazing.
and we haven't seen each other since Christmas, which is very unusual for us because we're normally quite good to have like a date in the diary, but life has happened.
Yeah, of course.
And they came on Friday, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we were joking. We only took one picture of ourselves over the week because we were so focused on the conversation
Amazing.
and
That's
catching
brilliant.
up. And to be honest, like I woke up this morning, I almost feel like hungover from all the chatting because it was so much social interaction at once. I was like, I'm not
Yeah,
used to this.
you need
I'm
time out.
wrecked. Honestly, I
Brilliant.
was just like, I need a quiet morning. Um,
True.
and it's just funny that like this intense connection is
Yeah.
almost overwhelming in a little bit of a way.
Absolutely, no, but that's brilliant. And even at that there when you said when yourself and your husband were over in Scotland for the 3 days, how did that feel actually outside of like chatting more and all that? The time seemed to slow down is what I'm told usually, or don't know how true that is,
Yeah,
but
it just felt really at peace. You know, we were in this beautiful place. We were spending all day outside hiking and swimming and just kind of exploring this beautiful part of the world.
gorgeous, yeah, amazing.
And it was like we both live pretty busy lives, like 'cause I still have my day job and I'm working in the evening. So to actually just have so much quality time was beautiful. But just a reminder that we need to prioritize it as well, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be making the transition into full-time therapy because it gives me a little bit of time back because I won't be juggling two jobs.
It's a
And
lot,
I can
isn't it, to
be
have everything up in the air for, and you can do that for a while, isn't it? But then burnout, isn't it, if we don't look after ourselves?
absolutely like I've done it for a year and I'm kind of like I'm so lucky with the business that it's taken off really quickly and I'm thriving and I have lots of clients and everything is going really well. Touch wood, it
Amazing.
continues that way. But it's gotten to a point now where I can only take it so far while working full time. Like I was saying to a couple of people, like, what was the catalyst? And I said I had to say no to someone because she could only come in the mornings and the afternoons,
Oh,
couldn't come in the evenings at all. And I was like, I need to start saying yes to my business and not to my day job.
say yes to
And then
yourself, isn't it? And then to everyone around to help and
yeah, so that started the wheels turning then to be like, how do I make this transition and am I ready?
it's like about investing and trusting, isn't it? You're literally practicing as you're preaching in that sense, like from what you're doing, which is amazing as well.
Oh
It's
yeah, feel the
inspiring.
fear and do it anyway. Like the
Oh
imposter
yeah,
syndrome and
Susan
so on is
Jeffers,
very
isn't it?
present. Yeah,
Susan
I just like
Jeffers.
I
That
have
was a really good book, actually. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's big time. Isn't
yeah, I just have to back myself. And
it? I love that.
I was I was saying again to my supervisor, I have to say, Pat, shout out to Pat.
Shout out to
I was
that.
telling him about this change that I was planning, and he was kind of looking at me, and I was like, "This is a really big deal. Why aren't you panicking?" And he was like, "You have this. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about?
Nice.
Of course you have this." Um, and then I stopped, and I was like, "What part of me is telling me I can't do this?" And this is one thing I would always say, this is a really
Mm,
good takeaway, I think, for anyone listening.
yeah.
It's anytime we're being negative, so the voice that's like, you
Oh yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah. I'm my own worst critic at
Tu
times.
yeah, tune into the voice and try and figure it out. Is it A, is it your own voice?
Mm,
And B, is it someone else's voice? and try and figure out where it's coming from. Because quite often it's not you in the here and now, but maybe like a younger self who maybe was less confident or something like that. Or maybe like the parent who was always nagging you to like, oh, you need to be like a size 10, or
Yeah, oh
the
yeah,
dad who's like,
absolutely.
you need to be a civil servant or whatever. Um, so when I feel like a client's been very critical, I'm like, okay, who's talking? Do you
Yeah,
know? So like
totally.
when I tuned into that, it was like probably me in my kind of late teens, early 20s, in growing up in that recession Ireland
Yeah.
where job security was so important and to get a job that was good and worth
Hmm.
all the effort you gone through for college. And it was like, no, no, we're okay. Like, we don't need this job anymore. We have our own job that we've created and a business that we love and we're really proud of. Like, we have this. And just having that little conversation with myself of like, yeah, actually, you have this. Like, you can
It's
do it.
amazing, isn't
Just
it?
like
And
pat on the head, going, you've got it. It's okay.
and when you feel like it's, I suppose, when it is the right pat, I suppose it resonates, things happen, isn't it? Doors open and other opportunities come out when you trust it as well. And
That's it.
yeah,
It's like even with this podcast, like when you reached out to me about it, like I knew we'd find the right time we to do it because I knew I wanted to do it.
absolutely
And now
aligned.
it's come along at a lovely time, where I'm about to do this big transition and everything, and it's lovely to sit and chat to you because like obviously we met in person at the Darkness into Light swim, and it was lovely just to connect
Huge,
again,
yeah.
and then get it in the diary.
So Chantelle, there we were just mentioning darkness into light. So I suppose for people who don't know what darkness into light is, and I know we both participated in it there back in the beginning of, well, middle of May, I suppose it was the 9th of May, wasn't it? But anyway, if you'd like to tell people about that first, I suppose as well.
Yeah, so I suppose Darkness into Light is like a big charity event organized by Pieta House, which do amazing work working with people who are suicidal, who maybe have attempted suicide, and for families who have lost loved ones to suicide. Um, Amazing support charity, that work all around Ireland. And so Darkness into Light is their big fundraiser every year where people get up quite early in the morning around 4 a.m.
Yep,
and do a walk or some other activity while the sun is coming up. But I suppose it's the metaphor of like you can start in the dark and the light will always come. So it's a very beautiful event. So I've done a couple of the walks and more recently kind of done the swims organized by Luke down in Happy Place Saunas in Fountainstown. So thank you, Luke, for all your great organization.
thanks again,
Um,
Luke. And Luke's son has turned 5, was it last week as well? So happy
yeah,
birthday,
I
big
saw
son.
that. Happy birthday to Luke. Um, But I think for anyone who swims in Fountainstown, you'll know Luke, you'll know his beautiful dog
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
amazing saunas. We're very
dog.
lucky to have it on our doorstep.
I know.
Um,
I don't know what we
but
did
yeah,
without it. Yeah.
I know it's but I think Darkness into Light is such a beautiful event because the ones I've done is like I suppose you don't know anyone's story. It's just people walking or
Yeah.
swimming shoulder to shoulder, but usually if you're participating in it, you have a story. You know someone,
Yeah.
you've been impacted by it yourself. Um, and it's just this moment of like community and kind of coming together. And I'm the type of person that really feeds off that kind of energy. So it's just a powerful reminder that there's good people in the world and people care about these things,
Absolutely.
and that, there's people who've walked very dark roads themselves and they're doing that as a kind of a reminder of their own strength and their own journey. And I've had
Absolutely.
this conversation with clients who have been on that path and to see them
Yeah.
turn things around is amazing.
It's lovely to see, like, as well. And for people to actually be real about this stuff and to, like, I don't know, destigmatize it and things. It's so healthy, like, to, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like I said earlier, like my mom died by suicide and
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
remember when it
Oh,
happened, thank you. I was very much in my family, it was very much like we're not going to talk about it. We're not going
yeah.
to say she died by suicide. We're going to say something else. And it never sat right with me, even like at a young age. Like I was
Yeah.
15 when my mom passed away.
Sorry, yes,
And so
young.
even now, yeah, it was a real like pivotal moment in my life, like for sure. Um, but I'm a big believer in normalizing it. So like say
Mhm.
when I have a new client come into me, I have like an intake form, there's things I ask questions about just to kind of get a bit of sense of where they're at. And like if I ask them, have you ever had any thoughts about suicide or
Yeah.
self-harm? Are you actively having these thoughts or
Mm.
self-harming or whatever? And people are like, oh God, no, God, no. And I'm like, but it's okay if you are. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't possibly. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no. Actually, if you're having like a mental health struggle, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that uncommon to be having this thought about maybe like not necessarily about wanting to end your life or to die,
Mm.
but wanting to escape from whatever pain you're in.
And that's huge, isn't it? The
And
pain, isn't it? That people like, yeah,
yeah, it's the
yeah,
escape, like it's not necessarily the desire to die.
yeah,
Um, or the relief. So someone is self-harming, it's about the relief from one pain with another, do you know?
yeah.
Um, so I'm a big believer in saying like, I'm not going to freak out if you tell me this. Like I'm not like I work in Victoria Cross for my in-person sessions. It's like I'm not going to
Yeah,
drive you up to
amazing.
CUH.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for that with the
True,
wait
isn't
listing in A&E.
it?
I
You're
think
here for a
they're
bit.
afraid that I think they're afraid that I'm going to bundle them in the car and drive them up
Yeah.
to the hospital. I'm like, no, like we're just going to talk about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Um, and same with my mom, people might say, "Oh, how did your mom die?" And I'll just say she died by suicide. Like there's
Yeah.
no, it's not it for some people, it's for me, it's the same as saying like, she died from cancer or something like that.
Absolutely.
She
Yeah.
had a very severe mental illness for many, many years, and
Mm.
this was the outcome. Do you know that kind of way? And it's
Yeah. Of
very tragic and very sad, and it's obviously
course.
shaped my family massively. But, you know, it's a thing that
Mm.
happens, and it's
Yeah.
not to be shied away from. And like, there's I'm doing like a C like kind of a postgrad course in trauma at the moment, and
Okay, cool. Yeah.
one of the lecturers said that like shame can't survive talking. And
Okay.
I
Yes, I
think
like it.
there's so much shame around suicide and kind of
Big time.
judgment.
Yeah.
But actually, if we talk about it, we remove the shame, and people are going to be more open about it because you take away the shame, you take away the fear around the judgment
Yeah. It's
and the
huge.
rejection that comes with it, you know?
Literally, it is about destigmatizing, isn't it? About the self-stigmatism where people believe things to be true, the social stigmatism where they're needing help, not getting it. There's this whole thing. And I think, like, as a society, we're getting a bit better, but there's massive room for improvement still, of course. Like, there really
Yeah,
is,
absolutely. Huge
and
work to do. And we've come such a long way, you're so right. I
absolutely, but
think.
more.
Yeah, like I often think so. Like my mom died in 2003.
Yeah.
So I often think now, like if she had been dealing with what she was dealing with now, the care she would have gotten would have evolved so much
Yeah.
compared to what would have happened in the 90s and so on. And,
Yeah.
that's probably true for a lot of people,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
it's out of our control. But I think it's very much part of my motivation and the reason I do this work is to like try and help people who are on having those thoughts and kind of like I'm not trying to save lives. Like I don't have some Jesus complex,
Yeah, of course.
but
Like,
I think it's like, I'm not afraid of it because I've lived it.
yeah.
And that gives me a certain strength that I can offer to my clients because I'm not going to run away. You can tell me anything
Yeah.
and I'm not going to run,
And that's huge.
and
That is
sometimes people
huge.
are afraid to say to a friend or like a
Mm.
parent, I'm having these thoughts because they don't want to worry them. But
Yeah.
come worry me. You're going to pay me to worry for you. That's grand.
There
We
you
can
go.
work on
You don't
that.
mind. That's so true. Like,
Mm.
and isn't that what it is? Like, as you say, the amount of like, I suppose, pressures and things like that that are on people, and people don't necessarily feel that they can chat about it and all. And even for myself, I suppose, my own background in the area, I've had a massive interest in it. I've basically worked, I suppose, on an ambulance service for a period of time. Did another job before that, and just always had an interest in instructing. Did first aid, and that's about providing help to people and had this huge interest in the mental health aspect of it as well. So upskilled in the mental health area as well. So I teach courses on that as well. And it's the more I learn, the more I need, I suppose that I'm aware that there's to know about it and the whole thing. And then there was opportunity one day, I don't teach it, but I became a suicide first aider as well, which would have
Oh
been,
yeah.
you know it as well, you might have done it yourself,
Hmm.
but the
Yeah.
2 day course and as you said there about us all having stories at different stages, it was a friend of mine who like she was amazing, we were very close. But yeah, so it does impact everyone, I think, doesn't it, in some ways as
Hmm.
well, like that. But yeah, that's why I do it as well for the last few years as well, just to raise awareness. And if we can help one person in one way and just hopefully destigmatize things as best we can. And yeah, it's just so important as well.
Definitely. And I think it's like the more people that care about it and do things like the
Mm.
assist course and the suicide first aid and so
Yeah.
on, like for anyone who hasn't heard of them, like these are free courses funded by the HSE.
Mm.
Anyone can do them. Like you don't need to work in the ambulance service or in any kind of care service. Like anyone can do them. Um, they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And like I suppose if you're in a position where you're working with people, definitely worth investing. the time in. Because you come away with skills about how to have those difficult conversations. If you feel like, say, a friend, a family member, work colleague is maybe having a difficult time, to be brave enough to say, actually, are you having thoughts about suicide?
Yeah. Direct question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. That's what we people need to be able to do. And again, in Ireland, we don't always love a direct question.
No, this is
So
it. We
it's
deflect.
great.
Yeah.
It's great to get the training to help you do it. And,
Such a good
there's
course
so,
to do.
yeah, really. And like, if anyone wants the details of it, like, reach out to myself or Karen and we will
Absolutely.
direct you to the website to sign up because they do it all over the country in all different places in the county. Like, I know I did my 2-day course in the Triton in Kinsale, and then I did the first one, the kind of the suicide first
Yeah,
aid in the Silver Springs. And like, I know they do them all over Cork and
absolutely they
Waterford
do.
and so on. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
brilliant.
And even at that, just to expand on that, global networks, it's, would you believe it, it's the same course that's actually out there globally as well, if anyone's listening in anywhere else, that it can be accessed. I don't know what the story is. There might be a cost incurred in some places, but yeah, we're blessed in that sense in Ireland that we do have the resources there. They run loads of courses throughout the year, but it's available globally as well, which is incredible. And
Mm.
there's a self-harm awareness course as well for another day. It was best to do the add-on on that at the time myself and just have
Yeah, I've done
awareness
the
on.
self-harm one as well, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And actually, I did the self-harm one in Waterford, and most of the other attendees were in the kind of the volunteer suicide kind of watch that they run in
Yeah,
Waterford, where they kind of
amazing. Yeah,
monitor the keys.
that's excellent actually
Um,
to have that resource as well. Like it's just incredible.
yeah. So, and for anyone who does, I think that they probably have one in Cork as well. But for anyone who doesn't know it, I can't remember their proper name, but basically they're a group of volunteers that spend time around the quays in Waterford. So Waterford is like the river shore is just beside the main part of the town, and it's unfortunately a very popular place for people to go if they're having suicidal thoughts. But they have like a boat crew and they have people walking up and down the quays, just keeping an eye out for people and having conversations if they notice anyone kind of lingering and just kind of keeping an eye and, you know, engaging the emergency services and the police and stuff as needed as well. But yeah, to sit with that group of people who are living this every day and giving up their free time to try and save lives was really inspiring as well. Like, because I suppose this is my
Absolutely.
profession, it's different to volunteering, but I was just so inspired by them.
They're amazing, and there is one in Cork as well, the Cork Missing People's group as well. I remember somebody telling me one day they were going to a call, and it was unfortunately it would have been more of a recovery call, and at the same time weren't they in the right place in the right time and able to talk somebody else, have a chat to them, talk them out of doing what they're about to do at the time, and thankfully they arrived home safe to their family and hopefully got the
Mm,
help that they needed. So in that sense, okay, it's just to get that or maybe to get closure and things like that as well. But it's fantastic, and there's loads of places doing that now as well. And there's like it's so important to have it. I think it's just amazing. And even at that, as you were mentioning earlier there, Chantal, about say like the likes of PA the House and various different things, like bereavement counselling was huge. Was another friend of mine, their friend, both of us were, I suppose, impacted. And I was even, again, the lack of information or things at the time, I didn't realize that they provided that at the time or that I was as impacted myself as I was. And I was trying
mm,
to deal with it like solo and all that. And, then I was like, oh, I don't know, can I do it now? Because like I'm a friend, is it more family members, is it this and that? But it's anyone, and it was absolutely like it was just having that safe place and realizing, how much it impacted and stuff as well. And yeah,
yeah, it's so important. And I think like there's a lot of things that are wrong in Ireland. I think everyone can agree with that, but there's a lot of really good resources for
yeah,
kind of care around suicide and bereavement and so on. And sometimes it can be hard to find the resources, and I always think like
yeah,
this is where sometimes like even just like that, if someone doesn't know where to go, like feel free to reach out to say me or someone on Instagram and I can point you in the right direction, even of like low cost counseling or free counseling, because like counseling can be expensive if you're not engaging with like a low cost service.
yeah.
And that is such a barrier to entry in this economy because most people are
Unfortunately,
struggling to pay rent and just keep food on the table and
yeah,
so on. Um, so I know for me in my business, I always have like a couple of spaces of low cost counseling where it's like 20 € an hour. And that's
amazing. Yeah,
literally just covering my basic costs because I suppose I come from a very like a working class background.
yeah.
So accessibility is something that I'm very passionate about.
Brilliant to
Um,
hear. Yeah, amazing.
and even if like if my low cost is full, I can refer you on, like a lot of the colleges where the counselling training takes place, like they have students doing placement and they're always very low cost as well. And then there's a lot of
Great.
charities that do free sessions. Like, it might be a limited number of sessions, but it's a
Yeah.
starting point. So if you feel like the finances is an issue, there's ways around it, and there's lots of places where you can get help still. You might be waiting a little bit for if you're on a waiting list for some of them, but like,
Yeah.
you will get the help you need.
That is brilliant. And I'm just loving the fact that you do that as well. That's in a way, it's like paying it forward as well. And, get the belief.
Absolutely.
It's
And it's
amazing.
it's
It's lovely.
so important to me. And I think I suppose because I kind of come from like would have grown up in a council estate and, wouldn't have had a huge amount of money or anything growing up. Um, I got a lot of help kind of getting into college and things like that with different kinds of scholarships and
Amazing. Yeah.
supports for students that were coming from like they weren't called DESH schools back then, but
Yeah.
if you kind of came with a bit of from these types of areas, there was a lot of help available and I always think like I wouldn't have gotten through college without those kind of helps and
Great
supports.
to have the resources.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that has just put, I think I'm always I'm very passionate about social justice anyway, but I always kind of felt when I had my own business, I was always going to have this element of like very low cost counseling, um, to support people. And there's no limit on that. Do you know what I mean? Like I do it for 2 years, do it for 3 years. Like I'm not going to be
Yeah.
like, start paying up.
Yeah.
Like that's
Good
not what
luck.
I'm
Off
about.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Do
No,
you know what I
thankfully.
mean? I
Of
just think
course. Like, yeah.
I think if people need help, they need help. Do you know? And that's the most
So
important thing
true, isn't
because
it?
this job is like it sounds so twee when I say it, but I cannot tell you how much of an honor it is to do this job every day and have
Totally.
people
Yeah.
come in and tell you what's going on in their inner world. And like sometimes I still can't believe that I get paid to do this because I love it so much. But
Of
like, it's not about the money for me. Like, yes, I obviously want to make a living and be able to feed
course. Yeah.
myself, pay for my car and things.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm trying to become a millionaire, do you know?
No, it's true, isn't it? And I can tell definitely by listening to you as well that you're like 100% doing it for the right reasons. You're so passionate about it. And isn't that saying as well, like, if we're passionate about what we do, we'll never work a day in our lives to that level, isn't it?
Oh,
So true, like,
100%, yeah.
yeah, it's
I
huge.
actually I actually see it really physically in me. So like I could have had a day at work, my day job now and I'm wrecked. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm allergic.
Mm.
And like I might notice my heart rate on my Fitbit is quite elevated.
That's
And
not good.
then
Yeah.
I can go and do two or three sessions and I see my heart rate come down.
Amazing.
And I actually think that's a really interesting way my body responds to it because it obviously is
Yeah, you're
calm
tuned in. Like you're actually
when I'm
tuned in.
doing
Oh,
it. Yeah.
amazing.
So like
That's the
first of all
key
I thought it
sign.
was a once off, but I watched it a couple of times. I was like, no, this is not. This is like, yeah, this is the thing.
That is powerful, isn't it? Your body will tell you, isn't it? And when we're connected and we're in tune, and I suppose like our physical health is equally important, isn't it? As our mental health, our emotional, spiritual health, everything sort of, I suppose it's four tier, isn't it? It all
Hmm.
combines anyway, doesn't it? If one area isn't quite getting what it needs, it'll show up somewhere else, isn't it? As well, like,
Absolutely. And that's why when I meet my clients at first, I
mm,
ask them about the basics. I'm like, tell me about your sleep. Tell me what your diet is like. Tell me
yeah,
about your relationship with movement. Tell me about your relationships and your community. Like, I want to know what your basics are like because that shows me where you are. And if you're not
mm,
sleeping, it's like, do you have trouble falling asleep? Are you waking up? If the diet isn't, and I'm saying good and bad, but like if you're
yeah, but
forgetting to eat or you're struggling to eat, fresh fruit and vegetables, is trying to
yeah,
understand what's going on there. And like that, if you don't have a lot of friends or family, it's like, okay, are you isolated? Like what's
yeah,
going on there? Or is it like a choice,
yeah, of
or a
course,
personal preference? Because some people like to keep a very small circle, so it depends on the person. But
yeah, it's
it
huge.
just gives me the space of where to start with.
Absolutely. And say like from how like we met obviously with the sea swimming, the Rise and Swim group back about 6 years ago, as we say, like hard to believe. What are the benefits for yourself? Or you maybe you've seen in other people from the sea and sauna combined, we'll just go there.
Yeah.
It's one of the tools maybe.
Everyone should be swimming in the sea because it's so good for you.
Yeah.
So I
I'll agree, I'll agree.
yeah,
Of course I will.
yeah, I think if I think about my own experience with it, I think first of all with the Rise and Swim group, it
Mm,
was the community. So I think
huge.
I'd been living in Cork for a long time, but like everyone, when you're an adult, sometimes it can be hard to make friends as an adult.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't really have like a community in Cork. Like I had my friends and I had my work colleagues, but I didn't really have like a
Mm,
group that I felt were
gotcha.
really like for like my kind of people, do you
Yeah.
know? And I think that group I really found my people, like some people who are like, you know, friends that you wouldn't very see very often or whatever, but like, there was three of us, four of us that really made really good friends. So
Amazing
the
as well.
girls know who they are, like Charlie, Carl, and Bex, like, and we just kind of bonded in those kind of first kind of those Friday mornings, having the cup of tea and getting in the water and kind of trying not to scream, so not waking the neighbors in Fountainstown.
I'd say we woke a
Um,
few neighbors anyway, all of us in big groups,
oh, I think
social
we
distance.
all walk a few neighbors. Um, and for me, it's the peace I get in the water. Like I think I've
Mm,
always loved the water. I've always been like a real water baby,
yeah,
and my mom loved the water as well. So I think on a personal level, I always feel very close to my mom when I'm swimming.
beautiful. Like,
There's just
yeah,
something, and so if I'm happy, if I'm sad, if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm angry, like I will go to the water and find my regulation again.
yeah,
Um. So like I was saying, I was doing that trauma course. Like the first weekend, I was so like almost overstimulated by it. It was amazing, but I was like, okay, I need to reset. And like both days, I just drove down to the beach and just got in the water straight away and was like,
amazing.
ah, I'm okay.
Just the reset.
Um,
Yeah,
just the
great.
reset, and like it's kind of a hobby that can go anywhere with you. Like when I was in Scotland, like I asked my Airbnb host, I said, okay, like where can I swim? And he said, "Oh,
Sounds
like
like
this is
me.
like the best beach." And he said, "The water's very cold now. Like, it's cold." And I said, "It's all
Yeah,
right. I swim in Ireland like all through the winter. Like, I
yeah,
think I'll be okay." And he's like, "It'll be cold now." And he was really worried about me. And he's like,
yeah.
"Don't
He's
stay in
like,
too
what's
long now." And
happening? Yeah.
I was like, "I have my gloves, I have my swimming shoes." And then he was like, "You can't bring my towels now. You have to bring your own towel." And I was like, "I have my swim towel. I came prepared. The only thing I don't have is the dry robe because it was too big to put in the suitcase."
Yeah, it takes up a lot of space. Dry robes are great in the winter, I'll be honest. Even just afterwards with the tea, the coffee, the chats, they're
Yeah,
brilliant.
exactly. No, the dry robe
Oh,
was my COVID birthday present to myself. I bought it
yeah.
in September 2020. I remember going,
Bless.
God, so
They
expensive.
are.
But
I was
then, like
gifted
I'd
one now
say
as well. So grateful.
cost per wear now, it's
Yeah.
the most worn item in my wardrobe, I'd say on a
No, the
weekly
zip is getting
basis.
stuck in mine and all. I don't
Yeah.
worry.
So, but yeah, it's just, then I was swimming and it was this beautiful like coast, like this beach on the north coast of Skye, and I was just going, God, like this is the most amazing thing ever.
Mm.
And I came back to the Airbnb and he said, "Did you go in?" I was like, "I did." And he said, "And you were fine." I was like, "It's totally fine." It's like, fair play to you. I was just
I think it's
laughing. I
probably
was
like,
like,
how long were you in for? You were in for how long? And it
yeah,
escalated.
exactly. That's it. And I was like, I
Oh,
defrost my car to go for a swim. There are the times when you realize you're really into it. Is like when you're defrosting the car
yeah.
to go for the swim, you're like, maybe. I said this to the girls recently.
Yeah.
It was like a month or two ago. It was just particularly cold one Sunday. And I was like, why didn't we pick like flower arranging? Why did we choose this as our hobby? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, why do we do this to ourselves?
Oh, it's so true, isn't it? Like, and I was driving
Yeah.
down to Fountainstown one day and like the message Luke to go, is the sun open? But it was actually like, it was gorgeous. I got a great video, but it was like snowing on the way down, talking about levels now,
Mm,
snowing. And here I was, and people were like going, there's dangers, is this, the roads are fine. Snowing. I don't know, was that crazy or dedication? But you know what? It was brilliant. And anybody who knows me as well, if I'm anyway stressed, and even if I'm not stressed and whatever, just getting in the sea kind of, as you say, like regulates as well for myself. But I'm like totally zen afterwards. It's just I don't know, it's
totally
hard to
zen. Like
describe. It's
every
amazing.
problem goes out the window. Like
Yeah,
it's just a magic thing. And like that,
amazing.
it's the chats. Like, and maybe you're by yourself and you're just talking to a
Yeah,
total stranger. But
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
just that. It's that community and that connection and like the nod of the familiarity of the person you know, but you've no idea who they are, but you know each other years because you're coming at the same
Exactly.
time every week.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
true, isn't it? Like
yeah,
power in numbers, big time, and connections so
yeah,
important
it's
like
such
that.
a special thing, and it's hard to explain to people
Yeah.
that it's not just about the cold water or like distance or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
just about being there with yourself, and it's one of the most
Amazing.
magic things I have. Like and do I have it here? Hang on.
Okay, that's gonna be exciting.
Oh.
Oh, what are you gonna show me?
Hang on a second. No, when I was in Scotland, I got some amazing artwork. So this is not framed yet, but I got
Oh,
this.
that is cool. Oh my God, I love it. The two going into the sea, oh, that is
Yeah, and I
gorgeous.
just
And in the
thought it
wake of
was
it.
the most
That is
incredible
amazing.
piece. So I
That
must
is
frame
seriously
this
cool.
now and have
Amazing.
it somewhere in the house because I actually have loads of like swimming art in the house.
Amazing.
So anytime I see something cool, I kind of pick it up.
It's amazing. Like I absolutely love the sunrise dips. I didn't get much of them in lately now, except for the darkness into light. And we
Oh,
did get glorious weather, obviously, but the sunrise, the sunsets, the moon dips, you name it, anytime. I'm probably howling at the moon at that stage, but it doesn't matter what time you get in, but just every swim. And if you go back to the same area, it's going to be different. Either the tide's in, it's calm, it's glassy. Another time you're trying to just, you can't think of anything because you're making sure, you're concentrating on the waves. And it's just incredible,
yeah,
isn't it? Like,
absolutely. And there's something about playing in the waves just brings you back to being like a little kid. Like I know
yeah,
me and the girls sometimes when it's wavy, like we'll just like we're screaming like banshees, but it's so cathartic because you're
isn't
just
it?
like
Yeah.
letting this out of your soul and you're back to being like
Yeah.
small and like playing in the waves and
Inner
it's
child.
amazing. And you're
Yeah.
yeah, it
It
is
is,
like you
isn't
kind of
it?
come
Oh,
back to that self like
yeah. So amazing. Like it's one of the best things out there. Just and even at that now, I know from for men as well, there's like all these men's shed and men's groups that people are organizing. And from another team that works with people, there's a guy, Paul Rooney, shout out to Paul as well. He's of Muddy Souls. I had a lovely conversation with Paul a few weeks ago as well. And he set up like a safe place up in County Kerry where people can just go once a week. They meet up in groups. There's no pressure, nice walk, nice chats, a cup of tea, some biscuits, whatever it is. And it's just magical as well about getting that inclusion and connectivity, and yeah, it's lovely. So
yeah,
important.
and it's so there's so many people doing amazing work. Like there's a colleague of mine, Sean, who has a farming background, and part of his work is like working with farmers and going on the farm and going for a walk and kind of talking shoulder to shoulder, kind of the same
Yeah,
concept as the
amazing.
men's sheds. It's like because there's quite high rates of suicide amongst the farming
There
community,
is actually,
unfortunately, because it
yeah.
is
Sad.
a very
Rural.
isolated
Mm.
kind of role. And I saw him put that on his Instagram, and I was like, that is so cool because like that's putting your roots
Huge.
and where you've come from into practice in a beautiful way to kind of help save lives and again normalize mental health and kind of normalize having the chats and saying actually like today is maybe not such a good day.
Yeah,
Um, because
so
sometimes I think we're
important.
all guilty of saying, "How are you? I'm grand."
Typical Irish
But
thing, I'm grand, isn't it?
the weight of the world could be on your
Yeah,
shoulders. And I always laugh when
yeah.
clients come in, I'm like, "How are you?" And I'm grand. And then it's like an hour of spilling their guts about how always they're not grand.
Yeah,
Like,
like
okay.
what is grand? Yeah, if we say that in Ireland, if anyone's listening in anywhere else, I'm grand. Are you really? Are you sure? And yeah, it's true, isn't it? And actually just having the
Mm,
chat then and realizing, okay, but as you said, just giving somebody the time and space and all that, that's huge because in the world where it's so rushed, people don't want to burden people and whatever, and they're not, but actually just giving somebody the time to just chat and to just actively listen. And yeah, it's
hmm.
important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And as you
Huge.
said, like when we're so dependent on our phones and the conversations are happening
Yeah.
by sharing Instagram reels or TikTok videos and you're not actually having a conversation.
That's true.
Um,
It's like pick up the phone, isn't
sometimes,
it? Like phone each other.
yeah,
Like get rid of all the texting. I know there's times where you have to, you're busy, but get rid of that. Let's actually just phone. Let's arrange to meet.
yeah,
That sort
exactly.
of
And
way.
like I'm a big fan of a voice note because I think that's like another element of connection. Like so
That's
even
handy
if
actually.
because it's like you're still conversing, even though it's not necessarily together, but it's hearing the voice and hearing the sound, the emotions,
Human,
and
yeah.
yeah, it's nice. Like, 'cause I have a lot of friends, again, being an adult of the recession, a lot of
Yeah.
friends have emigrated. So,
It's
like,
true.
I've I have a WhatsApp group with two co old colleagues, and one's in Barcelona, I'm in Ireland, the other is in Seattle. So, like, the
Time
messages
zones.
are going to go, the messages are kind of going across the time zones, but like, we're
Yeah.
all there, we're all catching up. Like, so,
But isn't that lovely
no,
as well to have that as well? Like it's so important, isn't it? Just to have the
that's it. Because
connection.
yeah, and technology isn't all bad in that regard.
It's true, isn't it? There can be positives on it as well. And actually, during the pandemic, somebody was telling me that there was like a bit of research done, and especially if people were in rural areas, but not necessarily that people weren't meeting up as frequently, isolation, and it did impact massively on people's mental health. So we do need to have even people who are introverted and whatever. We do need to have this like outlet and connection with people as well, like in social aspect, which was interesting.
That's it. And there's space for everyone. I think like if you look hard enough, you'll find there's so many different communities for whatever you're looking for, be it like craft or reading or like social, or like like obviously exercise and different things, but there's something for everyone if you look for it. Like I know
It's so
run
true.
clubs are kind of the hot thing now at the moment, and like there's a lot of different run clubs in Cork and stuff, but they're fabulous because again it's community and it's like you go
Absolutely.
for your run and you get your coffee and like I know my own gym have a run club, so shout out to the lads in base.
Fair play, shout
Um
out.
the run club and the WhatsApp is brilliant for motivation. Like I don't get to the training
Yeah,
most weeks because I have clients on a
of
Monday, but
course, timing and
I,
all.
I'll I'll go out and do my own bit, and I'll throw a message in the chat or a
Yeah,
picture of like I'm running around Carrigaline or Crosshaven, so nice scenery, and I'm like, oh yeah, got it done,
brilliant.
and everyone's like, yeah, thumbs up, fair play.
Accountability, like, yeah, it's huge, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
Like
is. It's
that strength
nice,
in
and just that
numbers,
kind
and
of
yeah,
that encouragement, because a lot of the lads would have done the half marathon and the 10K over the June bank holiday when the
that's
Cork City
amazing as
Marathon
well.
was
Yeah,
on, and brilliant, like,
great,
people who
isn't
never
it? You
ran
just build
before,
each
people who are
other.
at it years. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's all comes back to community. I think that's probably the theme of our conversation today. It is community and connection.
It's so important, community and connection, isn't it? Like, and even at that park run, I was heavily involved in that at one stage, and the amount of people who get there, but it wasn't even about that. What about like it was like Ballincollig Park run, and shout out to Graham, Mary, Sinead, all the lads in it, they're phenomenal. But literally, they'd have the little table set up at the time. I'm sure next minute, oh, she come over for tea, for cakes, for chats, and again, it was that lovely. You look forward to the community and the connection even as well outside of, going for the run, the walk, or the jog or whatever. And it's huge.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Park run is really cool, and again, like a free thing that's there every Saturday
Absolutely,
in
yeah.
all parts of the country. It's amazing.
And globally, I think it's like maybe not everywhere, but it's in a lot of places. And you're getting
Yeah,
serious when you
definitely.
end up in Wales running along on the 7 mile bridge and you end up going on the park run with the park run people, with the running friends. And it's just, yeah, that's what happens. It's
Yeah,
great. You
that's
end up
cool. And
seeing somewhere,
I
you
love
know.
that though. It's like your hobby, that kind of
Isn't
way.
it
It's
like absolutely huge? And I suppose, yeah, here's a question for you now as well, Chantal. For people who are going, oh, I don't know now if therapy's for me and can I do it? No, I don't know. What would your advice be to them? Like, if people didn't maybe go to therapy before and they kind of feel a bit, maybe there's stigmatism around it and they don't feel comfortable with it initially. What would you advise them?
so I suppose the first thing is like know that you might have to try a couple of different therapists before you find the right fit.
Yeah,
Um, so there's lots of really good websites where you can find therapists. So like Psychology Today, therapist.ie, loads of others. And I suppose it is just kind of like looking through the profiles and having a think about maybe who you might like to work with. Like some
mm,
people might have a natural preference for like male or female,
yeah,
um, and like a certain kind of age bracket. Like they might want to work with someone who's the same age as them or a bit older, a bit younger. And then most therapists will have like a list of kind of like specialities or areas of interest. So trying to like match up with that.
yeah,
And most therapists will offer some sort of free call before you commit to a session. So they cost nothing and it's just maybe a quick 10-15 minute chat just to see what you're like and so on. And there's no obligation to that. You can just have a chat. Um, or like, if you don't want to talk on the phone, like you can do it by email or like DM on social media.
yeah.
Like
It's cool.
there's lots of different ways to contact people, so don't let that be a barrier to entry. Because like I always say to my clients, like I know everyone hates waiting for a phone call, so I'll ring you at 2 o'clock on this
Yeah,
day, and I'll commit to that because I think everyone hates having their phone off silent
true, isn't
and
it?
waiting for a
What were
call
we
from
like?
always.
And we paid for ringtones years ago when I think back on it. But anyway.
Oh yeah, and you're learning to code your own ringtones. Oh my God, that's a
That's
throwback.
flashback, yeah,
So funny.
yeah.
Um, and I think it's like it's funny, but there's lots of TV shows now where they film therapy sessions. So if it's a couple of different shows where like there's one on Netflix
Yeah.
and there's one, I think it's on Paramount Plus, but you can actually see real therapy sessions happen and they're recorded. They're usually with couples.
Okay, that's cool, yeah.
Um, but that like if you look up stuff like that, you can kind of get a sense of what a session might be like. And I know on my own Instagram, I recently filmed a reel talking about like what a first session is like. So like,
Okay.
here's the room, here's where you park, just so that people can kind of see that. And someone gave me feedback. They said like from an accessibility perspective, for someone who's extremely anxious or maybe
Yeah.
like struggled with different environments, it makes it so accessible because they can see everything. And I suppose I had just thought it might be an interesting video and hadn't really gone that
Brilliant.
thought further to say it's an accessibility thing. Um, but it just helps people understand like what the room looks like and like what's on my desk. It's my bottle of water, it's my clock, it's my
Yeah.
notebook. Um, and then on their side, there's like a glass of water, there's some tissues, and like I have a little box of fidget toys so that people can like pick up a fidget spinner or something just
Play with
to
it,
kind of
yeah.
help regulate as well, and stress balls and crystals and all that kind of stuff. There's kind of
It's really
take your
cool.
pick, whatever you fancy kind of thing.
Yeah, no,
Um,
amazing.
but it is just maybe like just trying on a few people and seeing what the fit is like, and you'll know the right person
Mm.
for you when you find them.
I love that. It's so powerful. And even at that now, do you have anything up and coming yourself or any new horizons, new events or anything that you'd like to chat about?
Um, so I suppose the big thing will be like, I suppose come September I'll have extended opening hours, which is really exciting. So if anyone is
More
looking for a therapist
availability.
in the mornings and afternoons, and I suppose hopefully now in the next couple of months I'll start organizing some group events, so some workshops and things like that.
Right, tell me more about
Um,
that now because I'm intrigued by this now. And does it involve
yeah, so I
tea and
suppose
sauna?
yeah, so still a bit of a work in progress. I think I'll start off with doing like online ones.
Yeah, brilliant.
So there'll
That's
be like
accessible. Yeah,
like small groups, maybe 5 to 10 people, and just kind of pick a certain topic. So it might be like, building confidence or like working on body image and things like that. So like something with a
amazing.
theme,
Yeah,
and
I love
maybe
this.
do like a 90-minute kind of session where like there'll be different exercises, opportunities to discuss things. And I suppose again, the focus on community where we're gonna go and actually, yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
that's definitely more for the end of the year as I start to get some brain space.
This sounds
Um
amazing and I'm intrigued and I would love to attend something like that myself. So I'll be in touch
Yeah,
with you
so
for that,
like
no doubt.
so last year I did a series on my Instagram about how to survive Christmas, because obviously
Okay,
Christmas can be
yes,
very
stress.
challenging for lots of
Yeah.
people. So there might be a few like that as well, like dealing with like X event and how to survive it kind of thing as well.
True, yeah, yeah. No, that sounds
So
amazing.
yeah. So watch this space for that, and like you can follow, like I'm sure we can put my social media around here somewhere. And
Absolutely,
if you're
we'll get
interested
those.
in hearing more, just follow me and you'll see when they go up in the next couple of months.
And that's exactly it. Like, and speaking of that, yeah, Chantel, how, because people are going, oh my God, I want to get in contact, I want to sign up, I want to book a session or whatever with the extra availability from September. So do check it out, book in. How can people contact you? What would be the best
Yeah.
ways?
So you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah,
So we'll put the handle
yeah,
in
sure.
the notes anyway, but it's Gearóidin Psychotherapy.
Yeah,
Or if you want to find me online, if you just Google Chantelle Wallace Therapist Cork, you'll find the
yeah,
different web platforms that I advertise on.
yeah,
So it's like therapist.ie and Psychology Today, and you can learn a bit more about me through those. But I think if you just want to have a chat, just send me a message on Instagram and just a DM, and
amazing. Yeah,
I'll answer within a couple of hours.
that's good.
Um, so I'm very accessible in that
Yeah.
regard and appreciate that it's nice just to have a chat with someone and realize that like, they're human too.
Absolutely. And honestly, like it's lovely chatting with you today as well. Even though we're on virtually, it doesn't necessarily feel like we are, which is fantastic.
No, it doesn't actually. It's
Great.
lovely. Yeah, it's
I
cute. Yeah.
love it, yeah. And for people as well, if you were to summarize, like what would you like people to take from today's episode? Any key points?
I think find your community is the one that's really come up for me as we've been
Yeah,
talking. And just like even reflecting on the power of community for me, has been lovely. Because I suppose we've been part of a community for years. And
yeah.
then to come together and share this has felt really special this evening. So I'm really
Really
grateful for
lovely, isn't
that.
it? I'm grateful for you coming on. Thank you so much, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, I think finding your community and finding your tribe and knowing that there's lots of people who are willing to help if you come forward and look for the help.
That is beautiful. That is what a way to summarize, honestly. It's so beautiful. I'm just going, wow, I'm just taking it all in. Thank you so much for everything again,
No worries,
Chantal.
Karen. Thank you for having
Thank
me. It's been
you.
a privilege.
Honestly,
Thank you.
come here. I'm after learning so much from you. I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm getting a free therapy session. So this
Absolutely. No,
is great.
I'm always down for a bit of free
Oh,
therapy. So
come
quite
here.
often now in the WhatsApps with my friends, I'd be talking about something going on. I'll just throw in my Revolut link and I'd be like, if you want therapist advice, you have to give me a tenner.
I love it. Come here, you gotta hand it to you. So you can see it there. But honestly, Chantal, you're amazing. So like hopefully people will get onto you
Oh,
and check
thanks,
out. I've
Karen. So are
no doubt
you.
they will, honestly. And just I suppose from my side as well, a reminder to everybody who's listening in or viewing today, just a reminder that you're all truly extraordinary in your own unique way. And yeah, until next time, stay extraordinary, guys.